In this episode, you're going to hear from a number of former podcast guests. So what we've done is taken a compilation of the clips from previous episodes where if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know at the end of each episode when I have a guest on, I ask them, how can we make doubles more popular? How can we grow professional doubles? And we've taken clips from each of those episodes. We've consolidated it into this episode. And in between guests, I will do a brief intro so that you know who you're about to hear. This is being released on the first day of Indian Wells, March 9th, 2022. And it's part of our big Watch More Doubles campaign that we're going to be running all tournament long. The first guest you're going to hear from is Gaby Dabrowski, who is helping out with this campaign. On Wednesday and Thursday, we've got 14 WTA doubles players who are going to be wearing our Watch More Doubles t-shirts. They're going to be posting it on social media. We're going to be posting it on social media. And if you're a fan and you want to support pro doubles players, all of the profits go to supporting and helping to grow professional doubles. And you can get yours at shop.thetennistribe.com. Or you can just go to our homepage and we'll have a link for you there as well. We're also getting a blog post together on how to grow doubles with even more guests and expert opinions than you'll hear today on the podcast. So this is really a big time during Indian Wells, which is one of the best doubles tournaments in the world. They always have a big crowd. A lot of stars play doubles at that tournament. So this is a big week for us to help grow and support pro doubles players. So without further ado, like I said, the first guest here you're going to hear from is Gaby Dabrowski. I chatted with her back in 2020. She was one of our first guests on the podcast, and she was on the WTA Players Council. So what you'll hear from her is a few initiatives that they had proposed for 2020 before the pandemic started. And then you'll also hear what she thinks that fans can do to help grow and support pro doubles.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to get closer to the fans. We wanted people to hear our stories, get to know us. We wanted to do some doubles clinics. We wanted to interact with the sponsors more. We wanted to have a media day where the media can get involved with us as doubles players, whether that's on court or off. We wanted to do some filming, do some like tips and tricks for doubles, like from doubles players to the fans who play doubles, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would imagine that would do super well. I was hoping because that's the thing, if those sorts of initiatives gain enough popularity, then I can say we deserve more prize money. But until we gain the popularity, I cannot argue for that, you know? Right.
So
yeah, I think you're thinking about it the right way, though. The thing you said earlier where like somebody gets to know you and then they go watch you. So I grew up in Memphis, and we had a Memphis, Tennessee, and we had a tournament there. I don't know how big it was, like a 250 maybe or something.
250, I think. Yeah, I played there.
And I ball boyed for it growing up when I was younger. And we had this kids day, and the Bryans always showed up, and this was early in their career, probably like 2000.
Right.
And everybody always watched, and they still do, but everybody always watched the doubles matches with the Bryans because they always showed up to Kids Day, and all the kids just loved it. Like they made it entertaining and all this stuff. And I can totally see that working like at any tournament, you know, if y'all got out there and not only gave tips and things like that, but have the kids out on the court and play and just call it like a doubles day or something like that. That's definitely a really good idea.
The U.S. Open has had like a kids doubles day the last 2 years, and I think it's been a good turnout. Like the kids seem to have a lot of fun, and our personalities were able to come out, joke with the kids, stuff like that. So that was nice.
Sure. You know? Yeah, and then the kids just saying, all I want to do is go watch Gaby play doubles. So I think that would definitely work. What can we do? So the audience is mostly club level players, probably 3-0 up to like 4 or 5. So they're not super competitive, but they play a lot of tennis. They love watching. What can we do to support doubles more? these are mostly doubles players that we're talking to here. And I totally agree. It's an untapped market, like you said. It's what most people play at the recreational level. So what can we do to support more?
Well, I mean, if you want to try to get your voice heard, you can always write to the WTA, the ATP, the ITF, the slams. You write to those governing bodies, and then they start to listen if there's enough people that are saying it. I think, like, I have people say it to me all the time.
Right.
But, just coming from me as one person is not enough. Like, if doubles still is not getting enough exposure within the next year or so, like, probably we'll need to start some petitions or something like that, try to just gain awareness. I would also say not just write to the governing bodies, but also to broadcasters in your country, in your area, whatever it is. Like in Canada, it would be like TSN or Sportsnet, and say, hey, we want to see more doubles on TV. And the more messages like that they get when they go and negotiate new deals, and they can negotiate to have more doubles on TV. But right now, all the people in those sorts of positions of power don't think that doubles is that valuable. So they have no reason to show it more. So we need to show them that there's a reason. And then, the sort of tennis economy will follow what the market wants, right? And I think also the more you start showing something, the more it can gain popularity, because a lot of people that are not tennis fans but just watch tennis, they watch what you tell them to watch in a way too, and so you have sort of two sides there: the tennis fan that knows who they want to watch and knows what they're watching for. Even writing like to the tennis channel or even to commentators and being like, we need commentators that when a doubles match is shown, they're knowledgeable enough to break down the things that are going on court, so they can show doubles in the best light and know the players enough to tell our stories. Because I find there are times when commentators maybe aren't as knowledgeable about doubles, and it's a general sort of commentary, which is fine. But I think for like the serious tennis fan that is really looking for that type of content, then you need to get more specific, and they'll learn something really from watching those matches.
So next you'll hear from another WTA player, Alexa Guarachi. She was in the WTA finals last year. I think she reached the top 15 in terms of her ranking. And I chatted with her at Indian Wells during World Team Tennis from the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. So you'll hear a little background noise in this one. She has a much more concise, short answer because we were kind of pressed for time. But we chatted in November of 2021. And here is her answer on how we can grow doubles.
I think if we can get more TV coverage with it, because I just feel like maybe even with the tennis channel, they put a lot of the big singles matches on, but the doubles they're not really putting on there, like on the regular tennis channel for, maybe only the finals, and I feel like a lot of people love to watch. And maybe if other networks can pick up tennis too, just to get it on there and get some women's doubles on there. I know it's funny because I feel like not that many people watch women's doubles, but I think once they get into it and they start, even if they see it in person, they're like, wow, they really can respect what we're doing.
It's interesting. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg problem, because like we want it on TV more, but there's got to be like the demand, but having it on TV creates more demand, so it's an interesting problem that hopefully we can help solve.
Yes, I hope so. It's tough too, because you're like, well, if singles players play, but I think some of the younger girls are doing a great job and they're playing, and I think that's drawn some attention, like Coco and McNally, I feel like they've drawn a lot of attention to women's doubles, showing how important it is that it helps the rest of your game for these singles players.
So next you'll hear from Asia Muhammad. I also talked with her during World Team Tennis. This was actually from the Miramonte resort, so we were able to chat for a little bit longer. She is a WTA doubles and singles player, and she has a good perspective on what the WTA needs to do to grow doubles, to showcase it a little bit more. And she talks a little bit about some ideas she has for social media as well.
I just think the WTA just needs to showcase it more. I feel people want to watch doubles, want to know about the people playing doubles.
Yeah.
I just think media-wise, social media, like, we're so lucky to have something like that. And I think it's just a great platform to really, showcase all of these girls who are doing really well in doubles. And I definitely think it's gotten better, but I think they can still, kind of do a lot more things with doubles girls, with doubles, show some plays. I mean, a lot of people who are playing, it's doubles.
Yeah.
So
that's mostly what they play.
It's mostly what they're playing.
Yeah.
So you could even have like shot of the day or this or play or I just think there's so many things you can do. And I'm like, so many people have social media.
Yeah.
So I think, you can definitely do that, or even on whatever the matches, what TV channel they're playing on, you can kind of have little short clips coming in there and stuff like, this is so-and-so, this, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity, big opportunity there.
Yeah. So next you'll hear from Blair Henley. She is a tennis media kind of expert / do everything person. You've probably heard her if you've ever attended Indian Wells this year. She's going to be on court 3 doing player announcements, getting the crowd going, things like that. She's also a writer. She does interviews for all sorts of media outlets. She's interviewed Serena, Rafa, Federer, all the big names in tennis. So she knows the sport as well as anyone. This is a little bit longer answer, but she's got a pretty awesome perspective on this because she comes from both a media perspective and she knows the players really well. So she talks about the tennis governing bodies, the product of doubles, how players can build a brand, and things like that. So this is definitely one of my favorite answers from Blair.
I think that whether it's tournaments or the tennis governing bodies, I feel like they have to trust the product. And we saw, like, even at the Australian Open, there was perhaps some distrust of the product, or that the product could carry itself. And I think that in doubles, to me, that is key, is you have to, before doubles can reach its potential, people have to trust that there is potential to be reached. You know what I mean? And so for me, I think that is big. And I don't know, I do think it would be huge. Like Jack Sock playing doubles, a great thing for doubles. Nick Kyrgios playing doubles, also a great thing. There, the few, I mean, like the Bryans were a doubles team. That's what they did, was doubles, but they also sort of understood the show aspect of it.
Right.
I would love it if, and some doubles players do this, but it'd be so great if more doubles players could embrace making it a show. And that's easier said than done, because if my livelihood was riding on whether or not I won tennis matches, if I felt like something might distract from that, I'd be like, heck no. But I do think it can be done. I think it just sort of has to be normalized and encouraged. And that would take people probably caring more. You know what I mean? I feel like it's like a chicken or the egg thing almost for me.
It is. Yeah. I've used that exact same analogy before on previous episodes. Cause do you start with, Tennis Channel and ESPN and whoever else covering it more, or do you start with the players putting on a better show, creating the demand, then and they get Tennis Channel's attention, and then that creates more demand, So it can go both ways. But I like the thing you said about how the Bryan brothers knew how to put on a show. That's really good. And I'm with you on, like, if I'm a doubles player, I'm really like, this is my livelihood. So I'm focused. So I'm not going to try to put on a show. But at the same time, if they're able to grow their like personal brand and it helps grow doubles, they'll have a lot more business opportunities through social media endorsements, through, whatever else. So I think if some of them start to see that, and I think some of them are, and one or two of them has like a huge success with it, then the other ones will be like, oh, here's the roadmap. Like, I got to have a personality. I got to be put on a show on the court, grow my social following, and then I'm making more money off the court maybe than I am on the court.
That's a really great point. And yes, I wish more players sort of realized the potential, but that's where I feel like, can there be training? Can somebody be sort of like encouraging, like, these are like dollars on the table that you could have. Yeah. Liam Brody is a really good example of that to me. He's been playing almost exclusively challengers and futures for the past several years. And he has built up and granted, he comes from a market that really cares about its tennis, but he has built up a following. He is very aware of sort of the social landscape in tennis. He has a sense of humor. I just think that tennis, especially tennis people, they want to have people like that to latch onto. So yes, absolutely. And people are just in total control of their own brand today, which for journalists, some players like would say, well, why would I talk to these people when I could have control? On the flip side, it can be really great for players and sort of choosing their own destiny as far as how much money they want to make. Yeah,
it's an interesting topic. And go ahead, Han.
Oh, it sounds like we just need Nick Kyrgios to become a double specialist since he was that.
It might be possible, guys. Like people would pay him to show up without a doubt. People pay him to show up now, and he generally, I shouldn't say generally, and many times, I mean, he could just as easily win the tournament as tank a first round match. Like, you have no idea what you're going to get, and people are still shelling out big bucks to get him at their tournaments. I think they would still pay him to show up and play doubles for sure.
Oh yeah.
And he loves it. He likes the team aspect. I actually think it's a possibility.
Next, you'll hear from Caroline Dolehyde. She and I caught up at Indian Wells. Again, this is going to be a pretty short answer like Alexa Guarachi. We were similar to that one. We were kind of strapped for time. And Caroline, if you're not familiar with her, she is a young 23-year-old U.S. singles and doubles player on the WTA tour. So she's top 200 in singles right now. She's made some runs in the past at several tournaments, and she's been top 100 before. And currently she is a pretty highly ranked doubles player as well. She's had a lot of success in doubles. So her perspective comes from both a singles and doubles angle on the WTA tour.
There's so much attention on singles.
Yeah.
But everyone loves doubles.
Everyone plays doubles.
Everyone plays doubles, yes.
I'm just like an average adult tennis player.
And it's, I play doubles. I think highlighting the physicality and being more physical in doubles, I think would draw more attention.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Because you see the singles and you see them run side to side, like it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And doubles is so fast. Sometimes like guys like just serve it out, like just being more physical. I don't know how maybe like slower surfaces. I don't know, but like maybe like even doubles only tournaments. I don't even know. I'm just pulling this out, but
I like it.
Maybe like a doubles only tournament in like a really cool place, and then maybe people would be like, "Wow, like this is actually like really cool, and this level is super high."
Yeah,
it's the level that you have to maintain,
right?
For sure, because you can get some doubles people that are like, because there are people that play every single week doubles.
Yeah,
and like
for sure,
you have people like me or like Coco who don't play doubles every week, but who are together, very good together as a team.
Right.
So Yeah,
So maybe we'll do some doubles tournaments.
Yeah,
in the next
doubles
several
only
years.
tournament. I don't know. We've got to just find a really good sponsor.
Yeah, I've got to make more money and then I'll sponsor.
Yeah, yeah. You can be one of the sponsors.
Yeah, we can do it.
But that would be exciting for sure.
Next, you'll hear from Eric Butorac. Now, Eric comes at this from both a player and kind of a business perspective. So he played on tour from 2003 through 2014, 2015, around there. And he was a doubles specialist. So he had 18 doubles titles on tour. And since then, he's worked kind of on the business side of tennis. At the time that I talked to him, which was November of 2020, he had just finished up working at the U.S. Open. He was heavily involved in the operations there. And if you remember, the 2020 U.S. Open was the first kind of major tournament to come back post-COVID. So we talked a lot about that in that episode. But his answer to how to grow doubles and how to make it more popular is pretty unique because he understands the TV ratings. He understands kind of the tournament director side of it, as well as the player perspective. So it's a much longer answer than some of these other ones, but he's got a lot to say about this topic because he understands it from so many different angles. So it's definitely one of my favorite answers for sure.
I would play these tournaments, especially in the States, and you'd meet with fans and after the match, and they'd be like, "Why isn't there more doubles on TV? It's so good. It's so good." Then I got, older and got exposed to people who, sent the CEO of the tennis channel. And I would ask those questions, right? Like, why are you not showing more doubles? And, he showed me numbers. Like, here's the viewership when we show doubles. Here's the viewership when we show a replayed, not live singles match. It's like, oh, wow, there's people actually aren't watching it. So we got to figure out a way to make the product better, right? And I guess the quick and easy fix would be to get more stars to play. Like, I do think that when you watch the Laver Cup and you see doubles, when you watch Davis Cup and you see doubles, when you see these guys like Federer and Nadal against, Sock and Query, like, I don't think we're struggling for eyeballs on those matches. Right. They're unbelievable, right? When you see a Davis Cup or an Olympics and the biggest personalities in sport in tennis are playing doubles together. I think it's magic, right? They love seeing them interact. Right. So I think what can we do to get them to want to play? That would be really, really huge for but that would have to be like a whole restructuring of the tour and figuring out a way to make the rankings important, make it financially worth it for them. So that's the big one. From a doubles player perspective, I do think that the collective doubles group needs to do a better job of understanding that they're there to entertain. The Bryan brothers were the ultimate example. I mean, I thank them so many times because not only they were the Tiger Woods for people like me, right? Doubles almost got canceled back in 2005. There was a thing where the ATP was going to move to a singles only tour, and the Bryans helped, pay for a lawsuit and ended up kind of keeping doubles around. So they kept it alive, and they set an example for how to entertain, how to sign every autograph, how to high five every fan. They were the ultimate role models for how to, carry yourselves on tour and build a fan base. Now without them, I worry that there won't be someone there leading the torch because unfortunately there are a number of doubles players who are out there just collecting a check, and they think that they are entitled to X number of dollars because they made it the semifinals of a tournament. And then they're not really thinking about it big picture where it's like, okay, the money comes in because fans and sponsors and television pay to see this content, and then it's distributed through the tournament format. And because you made the semis, that's your share. But it's like, if you're not putting on a good show, if you're not entertaining to watch, if you're not high-fiving that fan or signing that autograph afterwards, that really hurts the collective group. So I would love to see some sort of change in, I don't know how they compensate players by, building their brands or, you're compensated in a way other than just reaching a certain round. Golf does an unbelievable job with their pro-ams, and that's how they generate so much money. And I know we tried that a little bit with tennis. It doesn't work quite as well, but I was one of the guys who helped but you still have people who will pay a lot of money to be part of the pro-ams. And we did it for a few years while I was on tour, and I was one of the leaders of sort of pushing that through. But we had a number of the players who they would just no show for the pro-am each week. And we would try to threaten them with different things, but they didn't want to be there. And frankly, if they went, they were bad to have around. So it's like, we need to do a better job with our sport of being engaging, entertaining, putting on an awesome product. I don't know. I wish the product sold itself of doubles, because I think it can be fun, but it's not going to sell itself, right? It's not if people aren't fun. And there are some really great teams out there. Cabal and Farah are really fun to watch, right? They're number one in the world. They're sponsored by the same clothing line. They're both from the same country. They play with a ton of energy. They came to the U.S. Open last year in 19. And for the finals, I was able to do something because the doubles final is so much earlier than the singles final. I said, hey, if you guys want extra tickets, I can get you basically as many tickets as you want for the doubles match only. And I'll give them to you for free, and we'll just try to fill the lower bowl, right? And I offered it to the other team as well. And Cabal, I gave him 500 tickets. And Rob called me in like an hour. He's like, done. Can I get more? And if you see the photos from that doubles final, there's Colombian soccer jerseys and people screaming, going mad. Like, okay, there's a team who is really like putting out an awesome product, right. And there are a few others out there like that in tour. But unfortunately, if the doubles world was full of 8 teams like Cabal Farah, I think you would have a world tour finals that was really electric and amazing and fans wanted to follow. But as players chop and change and new partner every week and, don't really have their own brands, don't engage that much, it's not as easy to get behind Kubat and Melo as it is Cabal and Farah. They don't dress the same. They don't really engage with each other. One's from Poland, one's from Brazil. They're both fine guys, but they're not high energy. They don't bounce around the way Cabal and Farah do. So it's a tougher product to sell.
Yeah, it's a complex issue. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg problem, right? It's like we need a team like the Bryan brothers with more energy and signing more autographs, but we also need like probably some better, branding and promotion and stuff like that, and they kind of go hand in hand.
They do. And Danny Nestor is a really good friend of mine, right? And people would come watch him play like, oh my God, that guy's so boring, kind of, no energy, slumping his shoulders. Daniel Nestor on the practice court is like the funniest guy on tour. He talks so much trash. He's always in your face. He tries to hit you with a high ball. I'm like, Danny, man, if you played your matches the way you practiced, like you would be like a hero. Like what? He's just like, nah, it's not me, man. This is,
once there's like some money involved, it can kind of change.
Yeah. And some people just don't have that gear, right? You can't ask people to be someone they're not. So it's not a totally fair ask of everyone either.
Right. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
But I had some creative ideas when I was back on the player council that never were able to get through. One was where players get like a salary for the week. And so basically a doubles player has to come. If you play on Monday and you lose, you have to come Tuesday and Wednesday and work, like do a pro-am, do a clinic, whatever. And you're like paid half your compensation is prize money, and the other half is kind of you being at the event and being hands-on at those types of events. That was one.
Interesting.
And then another one was to basically pull some of the doubles compensation out of every single week and put it into like a year-end like ranking bonus that was only paid out via teams. So like basically if you were that player who was playing with someone new every week, you weren't going to be in the top 25 teams at the year end. But if you stuck with your partner, like you would get that $50,000 or whatever, that a really big number at the end of the year by staying the course with your partner, because I think there's a lot of branding that goes in with putting those two players together. But ultimately wasn't able to really get either. But I think those are some of the types of, and those are just two thought starters, right? Sure. But those are the types of ideas that like the structure has to change and then the players have to buy into it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because fans are going to root for probably a particular doubles team, right? Like the Bryan brothers or Cabal and Farah. And then the thing before that is they need to know these players, right? So getting them to stick around and hang out with fans. And it'll start with the biggest fans, the biggest tennis fans who are going to these tournaments and stuff like that, right? And then the Tennis Channel TV stuff would probably ultimately follow that. Numbers would start to tick up and things like that.
But nowadays with social media, it's so easy to start building that. And I tell some of those guys in challengers, even like, guys, you got to be posting and tagging the tournament, and the tournament will tag you back, and you pick up 10 followers here and 20 at the next and 30 at the next, and that gets rolling. And you know, everyone's got a story, right? I told you a bit about mine. I'm the kid who played D3 from Minnesota, and I'm kind of a doubles geek, and I also like the business side of the sport. That's my story, right? Someone else might be the party guy. Someone else might be the Hunter Reese. He loves going on hikes. He's a vegan. He's got all kinds of cool, he's a really deep thinker. He's got tattoos. He's all, put that out there, sell your story. So, when you do make it to 50, 60 in the world, you've got a following and people want to engage with you, because social makes it much more easy, but there's still work that, the athlete has to put in to kind of get that ball rolling. Look at a guy like Nick Monroe. He's always posting. He's always out there. Now the guy's commentating on the Tennis Channel while he's playing on tour. He's charismatic. He's a good speaker. He's got a cool story. He's doing a great job. And what a great commentator, right? He knows these guys. He played with Tommy Paul at Roland Garros, and he's commentating on his match the next week. It's it's great content. He's doing these. So
it's amazing. Yeah, if the fans could get to know them on a little bit deeper, kind of personal level, I would be. If I learned that some doubles player was super into hiking and camping and stuff, that's something I'm into. So I would probably get behind that and go watch them next time at a tournament and stuff like that. So,
and I should have leaned on the D3 angle even more, right? Think about how many D3 tennis players are out there. And every tournament I would go to in the States, I would have people come up and introduce themselves and say, "Oh, my coach told your story to us at the beginning of the season," and and I did lean on that, but I could have leaned on it more. That was and really had that be my people.
Next, you'll hear from Gigi Fernandez. Gigi is one of the best doubles players of all times. She won 17 Grand Slams in doubles when she was on tour, and since then she has worked in a variety of ways in the tennis industry. Now she has her own website and does a lot of coaching for club level players like you. So if you're into the strategy episodes, it's one of the best ones that we've done. But she has a take on how to grow doubles and talks about the fans speaking out, talks about a doubles experiment that the WTA did several years back, and gets into some of the TV ratings as well.
I think it'll take the fans speaking out, and really demanding more coverage. It's interesting because if you ask most people that are watching, tennis at a tournament, what do they play? They play doubles. They don't play singles, right? So, networks won't show it yet. A couple of years ago, they did an experiment where I think it was for the month of October. They played doubles matches. They played all doubles matches from random tournaments in Europe, and the ratings were through the roof.
Really?
Yet,
who did this?
Yes, I know. It's a little known secret because I actually talked to the WTA about letting me have access to those doubles matches so that I could play them. I have another website called doubles.tv where it's where all my products are, all my kind of informational or instructional products. And I wanted to put those matches in there that were commentated. So I would commentate the match for the viewer, kind of going through what I thought was wrong and right. And they shared that with me. And it's so then what happened was the broadcasters will not release it because now they think it's valuable, but they won't play it because there's not enough airtime. And it's they'd rather play some, 100,000 satellite in the middle of nowhere than play a, quarterfinals of a tier 1 event, which I don't get.
Yeah.
So, if you keep complaining to tennis channels, just keep complaining, keep complaining, and eventually they'll show it more.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I'm trying to rally the troops and do that.
It's hard.
This experiment, was it the WTA did the doubles thing?
Yep, the WTA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It was in, I think, October of 2018 was when they did it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it would be so easy to set something like that up on Doubles TV or the WTA
Right.
site or whatever, and just.
But then it was like, forget it, because then legal got involved, and like there's all this broadcasting rights and this and that. So the people with the rights wouldn't release them because they then realized that it was valuable, but then no one really wanted to pay for it. So right, so it's just sitting in a vault somewhere.
Next, you'll hear from Jorge Kappastani. I chatted with him during the 2021 U.S. Open, and he has a coach's perspective on how to grow doubles. So he's been in the industry a long time. He's one of the top coaches really in the world. He's USPTA and PTR Elite certified, which only a handful of people in the world can say that. But he talks about getting more airtime for doubles. He talks about how doubles has some of the best points. We refer to the 2021 U.S. Open, which, like I said, we're in the middle of that. And then he talks about a tournament idea as well.
I think it's popular. The problem is it doesn't get airtime nearly as much, right? And we know the stats. We know that, people don't tune into that as much as they tune into singles. But we also know that the vast majority of people watching play doubles, more doubles players at my club for sure, and in most clubs. So I think back in the day when they were about to kill it and the Bryan brothers kind of revived it, and they went to, they changed a bunch of the rules, like, hey, it's not going to be 3 sets. We're going to play a tiebreaker. I honestly think that whenever doubles is on TV, I enjoy watching it, and I think I like watching. Now, if I had to pick a doubles match or Rafa's playing on Grandstand, I'm probably going to go watch Rafa because it's Rafa. But I think step one would be to give it more airtime. It's some of the best points. I mean, there's more.
Yeah, it is.
During doubles points than there are during singles. Although the current U.S. Open is doing pretty darn good. It's
yeah, they are.
Some amazing tennis there. But I think that's the number one issue. Some of the singles players, I don't think you're ever going to get all the top singles players playing doubles, which would help. If you start Rafa and Federer and Zverev and T and everybody's playing doubles, well, they're an attraction. But they get so much more money for singles that it's not economically smart for them to spend more time in the court. I'm going to do my 5 setter here at the Open. I got to get recovering. I can't be playing doubles, So I think that's a problem. I don't think that problem's going to be fixed. So you're left with, the best, most famous players not playing doubles for the most part at most tournaments, especially the slams. So I think the TV time, I don't think any more rule changes are necessary. I think I didn't love it when they went to a tiebreaker for the third, but I get it. I think, it's probably just as important. I wouldn't change that back necessarily. I think it did help. And I do think that there was a dominant team like the Bryan brothers that was a little more helpful. Now it's not quite so dominant, so it's a little different. There's not a quote unquote famous double. I mean, Bryan brothers were almost a household name.
Right.
I'm not sure I could tell you who the number 1 seed is right now at the men's doubles or the women's doubles at the Open.
Yeah.
But I knew the Bryan brothers. So I think, maybe if there was another dominant team. The other thing that I think would be cool, and it might get the top players to play, if there was an occasional, even if it's once or twice a year, just doubles only tournament, like a doubles tournament. Like Fed and Rafa and Novak, if they're trying to win a slam, that's the only thing they care about. And they got to play 5 sets. They're not going to take an extra ounce of energy to play doubles. But if it even has to play singles, if it was just doubles, and there was nothing but doubles, and then maybe they would play, that would be kind of cool. And give it like some kind of Grand Slam or big time prize money so that those top guys play. And I think it would be cool.
Next, you'll hear probably the most entertaining answer to the question of how to grow doubles. You're going to hear from Luke Jensen, and he won the French Open back in the 90s with his brother Murphy. He's one of the top doubles players of all time. He's a coach now, and I chatted with him at World Team Tennis, where he was coaching the New York Empire, and he is a huge, huge advocate of doubles. He's one of the biggest personalities in our sport, and he has some very kind of counterintuitive things that he would like to see changed in tennis. So he talks about getting rid of the 5-set matches at Grand Slams. He talks about getting rid of singles and doubles rankings and creating a tennis ranking. He talks about why Martina Navratilova was the greatest player of all time, and Federer and Nadal and Djokovic and Serena shouldn't even be in the conversation. So he's got some pretty extreme views, but he backs them up, and I definitely agree with a lot of them. He discusses a lot of rule changes that he thinks would benefit doubles. So enjoy this little segment with Luke Jensen.
Think of where does doubles come in? You got to believe in it. Right. I believe in it. The Bryan brothers believe in it. Wayne Bryan, who saved doubles after we were done, believes in it. And World Team Tennis, obviously Billie Jean King believes in it. But where do you put it in importance and find where you got to get your best players? Like here at Indian Wells, why is it so much fun? Because Rafa plays doubles, Rogers played doubles. You put your best players out there for the game of tennis. So instead of a singles ranking and a doubles ranking, why don't we have a tennis ranking? Who's the best tennis player in the world? Yeah. And pound by pound, if you really want to talk about GOATs, everybody, Martina Navratilova is the greatest tennis player of all time. She played all the events. 49 years old. She wins her 59th major in mixed doubles. Singles, doubles, and mixed. She played with Bob Bryan, won at the U.S. Open. Yeah. Hands down. So stop talking about who's got 20 and who's got 23. Yeah. The 59. Girls got, 59 majors. Now, Margaret Court, in a different era, has 62. But Navratilova covered 5 decades, won a ton of Grand Slams, won a ton of World Team Tennis titles, and I played against her, and that girl could play. Yeah. She could play from the baseline to the net, lefty, of course, and was just so fearless and fun. And to me, that's if you really want to take this game to the next level, we got to look as far as who's the best tennis player. That includes doubles and mixed, instead of who's the best singles player.
So where would we? This seems like a good 20-year vision you have, right, to make doubles more popular and give it kind of maybe not. I don't know if it'll ever be equal to singles, but get.
Well, that's a problem right there. Just even thinking that we can't even get there. We can't even have a conversation with saying it's impossible. We're in the impossible business.
So what do we start with, like, over the next year?
Well, let's just say, I have to be Grand Poobah first. Okay. You've got to give me grand powers to rule the whole thing.
You've got it right now.
And I want to say 99 or 2000, early 2000s, there was a conversation on the tour that said, okay, how we move the ball forward in tennis is grandfathering in an aging Pete Sampras, an aging Andre Agassi, grandfathering in all these players that have played under this one system. And then moving forward, anybody that is coming onto the tour moving forward, so that would have been Rafa, Djokovic, now I think Roger was already on the tour at that point. He was just maybe a rookie. But if you play singles, you have to play doubles. Now, the next big key is the hurdle that we got to get over and through. If I'm Grand Poobah, no best of 5 anymore. Best of 3 sets.
Because you're playing 2 events.
2 events. Yeah. I love pressure, so I like no ad. So if you're really giving me ultimate powers, I completely change I give it a facelift, a complete makeover, because pressure is what people tune into when it's a 3-all point, deciding, 4-all in the tiebreaker, the old school tiebreaker. Yeah. So if you can't handle pressure, you can't be on the tour. I mean, the golf, you got to win your card to get on the tour.
Right.
So talking about pressure, you get one chance to get on the tour. If you don't do it, see you next year. So to me, we play 2 out of 3 sets at the majors, but you have to play 2 of the 3 events. You can play mixed if you want, or you can play doubles, but you have to play. We don't do the singles ranking anymore. We have a tennis ranking, and you get in on that ranking, and all your results, singles and doubles and mix, spill into that. So if you lose first round, you're Roger Federer, I'm still in the mix. Yeah. I can still affect my tennis ranking that gets me in the finals.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we could under your system, we could have a number one player in the world who doesn't even play singles.
Well, it would be tough because if the points were divided up equally,
okay.
And the whole thing about equal prize money, I say that's Bush League because the doubles only gets 20%, if not less, of the action on the men's tour, and then they split that with their partner.
Yeah.
I'm saying you are equal across the board. You get the same amount of prize money in doubles and mixed as you do in singles per round. Now you're saying to the Mackie McDonald's, this makes sense.
Yeah.
The Marco Girones, this makes sense to play doubles. Mm-hmm. Money, points, ranking, instead of just staying on that one side. If you equal out all the points, you can't be dominant in one division and still be number one. You have to balance it out. Remember, the NBA plays 82 regular season games. And the Major League Baseball plays 162. Mm-hmm. Their stars are playing all of them. Big thing in the NBA, if these guys want to take off, people get upset. I want to see LeBron James. Yeah. I want to see Kobe Bryant play. People want to see their stars on the court, whether it's singles, doubles, or mixed. And Indian Wells has proven out to be, they pack it out every single time.
Yeah, it's a great tournament. So under your system, you have to play 2 out of 3 events. We've got 2 out of 3 sets. Mm-hmm. We have no ad. We have a tennis ranking.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 sets, 7-point tiebreaker at 6 all.
First 5 point. First to 5 to win by 1.
5, win by 1. Okay, so we're taking a lot from World Team Tennis. World Team Tennis here.
Yeah. And I think that should be in college. I think we should scrap what we have in college now and make this on 1 court instead of 6 courts. Mm-hmm. And so you'll have exactly what we have. We can be truly a co-gender sport at the NCAA level. And you can put in basketball arenas, volleyball courts and stuff and pack it, put bands in there and everything. And now you have men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, and it's all done in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you cut it all out. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It makes a ton of sense.
But you've nominated me as Grand Poobah, and I'm enjoying this.
Well, hopefully we can make it happen in reality, too.
Yeah.
The next podcast guest you'll hear from is Mark Lucero. Mark is an ATP singles coach, actually, for Steve Johnson right now. He used to work with Shelby Rogers as well. So he comes at this from kind of a singles perspective, and he has some interesting ideas on actually reducing the number of players per tournament. So he is a proponent of the round robin format. So check out his answer to how do we make doubles more popular.
Scheduling is one way. I think incentivizing the top singles guys to play doubles, because you think about the tournaments that do that well, like in Indian Wells, you see that there's huge crowds when those top players play doubles. I think that, and I think even in the shorter term, I think if you can figure out a way to market doubles better, market the personalities, like tennis, I think does a pretty bad job of, I think of making people aware, your average sports fan aware of what's going on. Telling the stories. I wonder if you think about I'm sure you've seen the NASCAR documentary, not NASCAR, the Formula One show on Netflix,
for tennis
which they're doing on tennis. But, I don't even like motor racing, but I like learning about people, and now I'm into it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Same thing, I was watching the Tom Brady show last night, the Man in the Arena. I don't really like Tom Brady, but watching him for 30 minutes, just talk about what he's feeling and thinking, I'm pretty interested in this guy,
Yeah, you have to be.
So tennis, I think, is the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when I asked Eric Butorac that question, I think he was the one who talked a lot about stories. He was we need to have stories around the players and get to know the players better, because everybody knows Nadal's personality and knows Medvedev's personality, but in doubles they don't.
The thing about tennis that's what's so hard is a lot of times half the draw, the people here are only going to see once. You know what I mean? So if there was a way for people to see players more often when they're there, I've always thought I think tennis is saturated with players. I think there should be fewer. Honestly, I think there should be fewer players, and the format should be round robin for singles and doubles. Because if you're, you have a family, 3 kids, whatever, the kids love tennis. You want to buy tickets to come see Jensen Brooksby, because you guys saw him play on TV during the Open.
Yeah.
When's Jensen Brooksby going to play?
I don't know.
Yeah, you have no idea.
I don't know.
So what are fans supposed to do? Like,
and then he might lose first round.
Yeah, exactly. And then might. Yeah, exactly. So like,
it's interesting.
You know, and it's just, you know, kids have school and you have work and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to buy tickets for Friday night. Like, you know, 7 o'clock. Like, you know, quarterfinal is going to be expensive. Like, okay, who are we going to see? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe maybe a lucky loser comes through because, like, you know, 2 guys were tired or something. I think that's one of the biggest things,
really
like, that tennis has a problem with, you know?
Right. Because, in other sports, like, if I want to go watch the Mavericks game and, like,
you can look at the schedule and know where they're going to be in 6 months.
Yeah. Like, the Lakers are coming to town in March. Like, I'll just buy a ticket now. That's interesting. That's a good way to put it. I've not thought about that. So more like round-robin tournaments, maybe like 8, or
that's what I think.
Some pools with like a semifinal and final, like the ATP final does.
Yeah, it's just hard because then it's fewer jobs, and you know, like it's tough. But that's what I think, because tennis is so star-driven, and you know, if you want to have personalities, like people need to be familiar with who they're seeing. You know,
there's no perfect solution.
And you could do the same thing for doubles.
Yeah,
I think. But that's my thing.
Awesome.
One of my big things. I also think there should be World Team Tennis after the U.S. Open.
So
and no Asian swing. At that part of the year. It can be a different part of the year. No China.
I do like the 2-week format they have with World Team Tennis. Though. I mean, COVID kind of forced that, but I think it rejuvenated
in one location. I think it's great. The thing is, like,
fun last year.
The thing is, like, after the U.S. Open, there's this crescendo of media attention, right? Like, you know, in the U.S. certainly, because U.S. Open is a huge story. It's New York, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, people are like, oh, there's still tennis, like, oh, like they're playing in Tokyo in the middle of the night, or oh, they're playing in frickin' Wuhan or Shanghai, like in the middle of the night. Like, why are, you know, is this relevant? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that part of the year, like, I think tennis should end around the U.S. Open, and you can have World Team Tennis in the U.S. Like, I bet it'll get media attention.
Next, you'll hear from Nick Monroe. Nick lives in Austin, Texas, and he is a top 100 ATP doubles player. He has several titles on tour. He's been on tour for a while, and he's also a TV analyst for Tennis Channel. So he plays in some tournaments, and then he does some commentating as well. And he, like I said, he's been on tour for a while, so he has a lot of knowledge as far as doubles goes and how the tour works. So check out his answer on how to grow doubles.
People love watching doubles. I mean, people go to US Open or Indian Wells or Miami and whatever, and they go to a lot of the outer courts and watch the doubles because it's so fast. And the format right now is great. You know, it's very quick, no ad scoring, 10-point tiebreaker. So you don't have the long matches that the ATP was having, the 3-hour matches that were then affecting the time of singles matches. But yeah, I mean, we just need to get it on TV more, you know, because people want to watch it. People want to engage with the doubles players, and because that's what people play at an older age, right? So, so it's more about just getting it on air, letting people watch it, you know, and watch the athleticism, because when people actually are at a tournament, that's what they want to see. So why not show it on TV a little bit more?
Next, you're going to hear from Nico Pereira. This episode was recorded in November 2021 during World Team Tennis. Nico is currently a TV commentator for Tennis Channel, among other media outlets, and he is a former professional tennis player as well. He was top 100 in singles, top 50 in doubles, so he's been around the game a long time, and his answer has to do with kind of following the money. So check out his answer here.
Doubles? Get more money in doubles, and
how do we do that?
And get better players in terms of get the singles players involved in the doubles. You know, it's difficult because the big movement in the tournament side to have less doubles, because those players cost a lot of money to the tournament. So it's a tricky one, you know. But I think money is the key. The more money you put, the more people you'll see playing doubles. And right now, that just does not look very likely.
Yeah. So how do we get more singles players playing doubles then? I mean, we obviously if we increase the prize money for these doubles tournaments, that would help, but it's kind of like a chicken or the egg problem.
Exactly.
We can't just increase the money if we don't know it's.
Well, in the 90s, the doubles guys, Mark Knowles and Nestor and those guys, they did a great job in getting the prize money to go from 80% singles to 70%. So it broke 70% singles, 30% doubles, and that got a lot of players making a living off doubles. That was the big breakthrough. But it looks highly unlikely that ATP, WTA will go 60 or 65% singles and the rest in doubles. The big push is for the singles, and that's what sells the tickets, and that's what is watched on TV. You know, I think it's a tricky situation, but to make it more enticing, you need big personalities. That's what sells, and the big personalities are the better known ones, and are the ones that are more on the TV. You see very little doubles on TV.
Right.
So I think that could be a way to get it back in and be it more mainstream. You know, to show a little bit more doubles on TV. Have it in the streaming service, on the tennis channel streaming or the podcast, advertise it a bit more.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to go.
Next, you'll hear from Peter Lebedev. Peter is the tournament director at the Dallas Open. He's also formerly the tournament director at the New York Open, as well as the Memphis Open, which I was a ball kid for when I was growing up. And Peter's also a coach of several players inside the top 1,000, so a few lower ranked players. So he's got a coach's perspective, a tournament director perspective, and a few ideas that you haven't heard yet on how to grow doubles.
You know, it's the most played game on the amateur level, but it's never watched on TV. I think, honestly, what makes people love it, and well, I shouldn't say, I think people do love it. We just don't watch it on TV, and the TV is all about ratings. If you have the big guys play it, back in the days when doubles was great, John McEnroe's playing doubles. Those guys are playing doubles and singles, and Mark Woodford and Todd Woodbridge, those guys were great singles players as well. I think that's an aspect of, if those guys played more of it, like when Roger and Rafa play, I'll watch the doubles because the stars are playing. They may not be playing pure conventional, but from a pro level, if that happened more, I think we'd get more into it. Because right now, unfortunately, if you said the top 10 doubles players, there's very few people in the world, and myself included, I couldn't name all top 10 doubles guys. And, one of them is a former University of Memphis guy, Joe Salisbury. I mean, I know him obviously really great, and Rajeev Ram and that. But I think that, we need the bigger guys to play it because, you and I both know, you walk out on the social courts and all of it's doubles. Everybody loves to play doubles, but they just don't watch it. And that's, I don't know what else to say, but, we were told one time by the TV guys, if there's a Williams, a Federer, or a Nadal playing in a doubles match, they want to cover it because that's when people keep the TVs tuned to it.
So how can we get more of the stars playing it? I mean, this is not like something that's going to happen in probably the next 5 years, but if we're thinking about like a 20-year timeline, like what kind of baby steps can we take?
Are you seeing more of them playing it just simply because of the rules that you can use your singles ranking to get in? But look, the hard part is the physicality of it all. I mean, John McEnroe's singles and doubles finals of a Grand Slam back in the days when they were 3 out of 5 in doubles. They loved the game. The game has become so high tech, and so these guys are trained like F1 racing cars now. That they'll play a match and they've got the massage therapist, the lowdown. It's just harder to fit it in. So I think maybe if there was more prize money, but at the same time, sort of that's the chicken before the egg, because so I honestly don't necessarily have a great answer for how to do that. I mean, I the one thing I will say, actually, play more mixed. And all of the combined events, if you play mixed, that's what's more fun. You know, I think Indian Wells and Miami, if they, played mixed doubles and featured it, where the better players, not better players, that's wrong because they're all great players, but the higher profile players played it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd watch it. I mean, I enjoy watching because it's also at a speed that I can relate to a little bit better. Sometimes when those guys up at the net and the speed they're hitting the ball, it's hard to relate to it. And so mixed double, you can relate. You can see the angles develop a little bit more and that sort of stuff. So there you go. That's my answer. More mixed doubles.
The next guest you'll hear from is Rajeev Ram. Rajiv is one of the top men's doubles players in the world right now. He won the 2020 Australian Open. He won the US Open a couple years back, and he is still in the top 5. I think he's ranked number 4 now. This episode was recorded during the 2021 Australian Open from his hotel room. He was on a hard quarantine where he couldn't leave his hotel room, so we recorded a podcast episode. His internet is a little bit spotty, so the audio is not fantastic, but we did the best we could to edit it. And he talks about how doubles players are more approachable. He talks about prize money. He talks about marketing, as well as player branding and stories. So he's got a great answer for you here as well.
If you equal out the prize money a little bit more from singles and doubles, I think perhaps then the doubles would get a little bit more validation, but chances of that happening are really slim. I think a bit more time on big courts and whatnot, a bit better marketing from our tour could also be a big thing, and making it so where doubles guys, because I mean people are attracted, and I think people are drawn to stories, right? So if hey, listen, this is this guy's deal, this is where he came from, this is what he's done, and if it's sort of made a bit more personal as opposed to just sort of like an opening act to singles, but you actually learn about the people that are involved a little bit, and you kind of make the guys and girls that are playing doubles a bit more in the spotlight, if you will. I think that can really help. I think that's sort of the direction that I would take first and foremost if I was in charge of that, is making the players making their stories known a bit more, and so that they're actually looked for by the fans at these tournaments.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm trying to do through this podcast, hopefully.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we all certainly appreciate it. Yeah, we all certainly appreciate it, because I think that's a big proponent to it. I think it's because I think there's a lot of doubles guys who have really cool stories to tell, and they've made careers for themselves in sport when they wouldn't in singles, and they've made a niche for themselves. And then the other thing is that doubles is what's played by so many recreational players that it seems like that would be a natural connection that a lot of fans would have with pro tennis.
Next, you'll hear from Rick Leach. Rick has won 9 Grand Slams in men's and mixed doubles. He's now a coach. He played back in the 80s and 90s, and is one of the top American doubles players of all time. I caught up with Rick at World Team Tennis in 2021 when he was coaching the Orange County Breakers, and they went on to win the World Team Tennis title that year. And he talks about how getting bigger names in the doubles draws will help grow doubles.
It's sad that the Bryan brothers are gone, because they were great ambassadors for the game.
Yeah.
I think, it's great that the ATP condensed it down to 2 sets and a breaker, because it encourages more players to play. You look at this tournament, for example, Indian Wells, you got Rafa playing, you got Roger playing with Stan, and if we can just get those big names playing, I think it helps a lot. I don't think doubles is ever going to go away, because it's a different skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always going to be there. It's just a different skill set, and we got to keep it going, because it's such a huge part of the game. And personally, if it wasn't for doubles, I wouldn't have been able to play very long, and I wouldn't have won any major titles. So, I'm a big fan of doubles too.
So that is the end of this episode. Before I let you go, I wanted to kind of share my perspective from having talked to so many pro coaches and players and media about this topic. So one thing you've heard a lot on this episode is you've heard a lot about the chicken or the egg problem. So what that means, if you didn't catch it, does the demand need to be created first, or does Tennis Channel, ESPN, and so on need to put it on TV, and then that will create the demand? And of course, the answer is both. But from my perspective, I think waiting on the governing bodies and Tennis Channel and all these media outlets to decide that doubles should be shown more is probably taking it out of our own hands. And I think that the players, me and what I'm trying to do with the Tennis Tribe, we can all kind of do our part to help get to know these players, help grow their brands, and help support professional doubles in here on this episode. So that's my perspective. If you have your own perspective, I'd love to hear it. You can always email me, will@thetennistribe.com. And if you want a Watch More Doubles t-shirt that you'll hopefully be seeing at Indian Wells, you can go to shop.thetennistribe.com and purchase one there. And all of the profits, like I said at the top of the show, go towards supporting and growing professional doubles. So thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you on the next episode. If you want to become a smarter doubles player and start winning more matches, then join the Tennis Tribe Doubles Strategy newsletter. Every single Thursday, I'll send you a new doubles tip or tactic that you can use in your very next match. And when you join, you're going to get a free guide on how to play with more confidence and start dominating at the net in doubles. My name's Will. I'm the founder of the Tennis Tribe, and over the last 5 years, I've worked with players at every level of the game, from USTA 3.0 players all the way to Division I college programs, as well as some of the top 10 doubles players in the world. And on Thursdays, with this strategy newsletter, I share that knowledge and advice that I've gained over the years with you. So to sign up, you can go to thetennistribe.com. And again, you'll get that free net play guide when you join.